Welcome to the upstreamlife.com. I'm your founder and editor, Vishal Krishna. Many of us want to shape our personalities and enhance your mental capabilities. You can do it at any stage. I'm 44 and I try to enhance my, mental capabilities. Even today, I try every day. But there's a method to that madness. I have with me Kumaar Bagrodia, a neuroscientist and founder of Neuroleap. He's known as India's brain enhancer. He's a global lead on aging and neurodegenerative diseases at the G20 B20 and is member of the committee at AIMS or member committee IIE at AIMS. Hi, Kumar, how are you?
I'm well, Vishal. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me.
So you have to tell me, this whole thing, how did you become a brain enhancer of India? A lot of people have covered you. You're a fascinating personality, right? We'll get into the science quickly. Why can't you tell me about a quick history about how did you become a brain enhancer? And let's get into the deeper questions that everybody is waiting for of technology and the mind.
I'm sure you can imagine there's no route to becoming a brain enhancer, and this is something a moniker that has stuck, given by several of the media outfits. I think CNBC, India Today, The Economic Times, and maybe BBC. But so I'm an applied neuroscientist. I'm not a doctor. I am not so much concerned with the anatomy of the brain, the physiology, more concerned with brainwave data. And my entire research and my practice is around helping people understand brainwave patterns and data, energy functions, and helping them correct them, right? My practice largely is around dealing with the subconscious brain. Before the podcast, we were chatting, and when you're talking to entrepreneurs or professionals and CEOs, when you talk to them about their journey or what it takes to be a good entrepreneur, what are some of the words, Vishal, that people will throw back? And this is a question to you, right? So what is entrepreneurship all about?
They talk about tenacity, resilience, stress, mentally, when they fail, they feel mentally down. So that's part of the stress, I guess. So it's high energy, right? So they call them hustle culture. A lot of things till they go on and make money. But by the time they get to that, they're mentally gone.
So I'd like to, highlight two words you said. You said about tenacity, resilience, stress. All of these are part of your subconscious brain patterns, right? It develops over a period of time, right? The interesting thing is when you're speaking about entrepreneurship and coming from you've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs, some unicorn founders, etc. You're not talking about, hey, they are great at math, or they are great at science, or they are great at tech. No, you're talking about resilience, tenacity. You're talking about emotional abilities, right? So we are now in an era where your emotional subconscious patterns are deciding winners, are deciding how long you can remain in that race, how healthy you can remain in that race, right? Whether you call it a race, whether you call it a jump, depending on whether you're speaking to a VC or an entrepreneur, they will think of it in terms of latitude or longitude, right? Or maybe both. How are these subconscious patterns, and why should we be talking about the subconscious? Because all of these are actually patterns in your brain which you're not really aware of all the time in the moment consciously. So when you talk about burning out or you talk about anxiety, nobody wakes up in the morning says, hey, I'm going to be really anxious today. I have to consciously make an effort to be anxious. I have to consciously make an effort to be in a bad mood or be angry or be fearful or be in self-doubt, etc. When do these happen? These happen as a response to a certain environment, a trigger, and those happening over a period of time, your childhood, early childhood, upbringing, your college life, the way you've interacted with your peers, the way they've responded back to you, your early work years, or even your current time, how your environment bombards you with stimuli, how you respond or not respond, and that entire reflexivity where you take in stimuli, you respond, there is stimulation again, and that keeps shaping you as an individual. And what is that shaping? That shaping is patterns in the brain, networks in the brain, networks for anxiety, networks for your mood, networks for your obsessiveness, compulsiveness, for your passion. One of the defining reasons for entrepreneurs, as a neuroscientist, I must tell you, is that they have heightened networks of passion which overcome the networks for anxiety and doubt. And it is at that moment that you're able to take a plunge and say, I'm going to create something which doesn't exist. I'm going to create something in an environment of uncertainty. Because my need for passion, for delivering something larger than myself, and it's not just about making money, it could be about being in control, it could be about making an impact, but it's a mixture of all of these, supersedes self-doubt, supersedes fear of the unknown, supersedes fear of uncertainty, right? You can then cover it in many ways and talk about the thrill, talk about the journey, but at the crux, these are some of the factors. And
It's
these
so
are
well said.
all part of the subconscious. These are all part of your subconscious brain.
Yeah.
And the
It's
subconscious brain, Vishal, is 99% of who we all are.
it's so well
Just
said.
about
So well
1%
said.
of who we are is our conscious mind. Just 1%.
I want to ask you quickly, talking about the subconscious brain, right? I mean, these are patterns, right? You were right. I mean, mood-based eating, food addictions, eating disorders, inconsistency in exercise, sleep, and many areas, like you mentioned, happens. We were talking about coffee, and this happens to all of us. Some of us can be high-profile individuals. We get one of these, right? Maybe we work extremely well or we do sport extremely well. But there's always this feeling, right? Mood-based eating, food addictions, eating disorders, anxiety, and you were right. The subconscious brain patterns play a major role. And that's where you've taken upon yourself to measure this. How do you do this? How do you understand these patterns, Kumar? Very interesting because I'm a novice to these things. I just read about it or listen to some podcasts on this, but how do you measure these? And it's a science. And people watching this must realize that it is a proper science. Neuroleap is a scientific tech company, right? That's what you built, right? You want to talk about these things?
Sure, absolutely. Um, the good part is today you can identify each of these networks pretty objectively and get a good sense of how you are the way you are. Think about it. You know, if you're a professional or an entrepreneur, mid-career or in your early 30s, early 40s, or even later, once you're successful, once you've gotten a certain point in your own evolution, we make two or three assumptions. We assume that's who we are. That if we are short-tempered, that's who we are. If anxiety is our driver for performance, then that's what it is, right? And it's gotten you to a certain point, and you will not change it, or you cannot change it. That thought even doesn't cross our mind. We're like, yeah, I will remain anxious. And we've read some of these wonderful quotes that dreams are not what you see in your sleep. Dreams are those that keep you awake.
Oh, yeah,
So if
yeah.
you're
Yeah, that's so well said. People say that, oh, you should dream while you're awake or something like that. I've heard of this, man, and sometimes
well,
it's terrible.
it is bizarre that you're told that, oh, if your dreams are keeping you awake means you're a very passionate entrepreneur. I mean, fine, I can get that for a night or two, but if your entrepreneurship journey is running into years and that's what you're going to be doing, then sorry, it's not going to work, right? So, which means that we recognize that there are certain patterns and your brain will function in those. How do we judge and measure objectively what those are? So let me give you a little bit of a background. Our brain is a decision-making machine. We are making subconscious decisions every single micro millisecond of the day when we are awake, right? Um, some of those decisions you're not even aware of, right? Your colleague enters the meeting late. In a split second, you've decided whether to be angry or not, whether to display that anger or not. You've got a negotiation going on. You're making split second decisions, right? How much to push further, let go, be angry, be emotional, so on and so forth. So throughout the day, regarding your food, what you will eat, how much you will eat, what time will you wake up, will you push yourself in your run or your jog or your workout? These are small decisions which are again creating your patterns and again creating your personality, creating your life, so to say, right? What we do is we actually put sensors all over your head. So we've got two centers, one in Bombay, one in Delhi, and we've been doing this commercially now successfully for more than 7 years. And we have clients from all across the country and across the world as well who fly down to these two cities to do these exercises, where we put sensors all over your head. They don't invade your scalp in any way. It's completely non-invasive. There is no magnetic wave passing into your brain, no electrical current, however mild, passing into your brain. It only does two things. We read the electrical activity in your brain. Our brain and body runs on bioelectrical energy.
Absolutely. I want to add that there's no thing inserted into your body. There's nothing inserted, guys, so you don't have to worry.
Right, nothing inserted. And so we cover your entire scalp with sensors. You're seated comfortably in a chair for about 30 minutes, and we simply read your brain waves. Your eyes are closed. You're not doing any meditation. There is no complex task being given to you. You don't have to solve any mental math or any puzzle or do any, undergo any hypnosis, no hocus pocus, nothing. You're just in a regular chair, sensors on your head, your eyes are closed. We are reading your brainwave data. Let me also clarify, a lot of people ask me that, can I read their memories or their secrets or their passwords? No, that's not possible currently.
It's not the Avatar movie. It's not the Avatar movie. Don't worry. It's not like that.
Yeah. Right. And we've done this for thousands and thousands of people in the last 7 years, very successfully. At the end of this exercise, we get about 10 million data points from
per
your
brain. Per brain, really?
Yes. Yes.
Is that 10 million? You said?
Yes. Yes.
I read that the brain processes that. I mean, we process 32,000 memory points every day, but I didn't know 10 million you collect. That's fantastic. Go on. I want to hear more. And how do you get to resolutions? This is fantastic.
We can collect even more. If you're talking about the day, we can collect throughout the day. That number will be mind-boggling. But what we need is just 10 million in that half an hour, and we process it in some amazing software, which is then able to decipher all of this data across specific patterns, specific networks in the brain. So you have networks for anxiety response. You have networks for mood, for your attention, for your memory, for all your executive functions. So executive functions mean your larger cognitive functions in terms of your decision making, ability to take action, logical thinking, critical reasoning. We have networks for your addiction. So not just addiction to substances, but in terms of obsessiveness, compulsiveness, heightened passion. We have networks for your chronic pain, for how you look at issues related to social interactions, So pretty much everything that you do or are at a behavior, attitude, and cognitive level,
Okay.
we'll be able to decipher all of this.
Kumar, hold the thought. Just for those naysayers out there, say, hey, I've got gadgets measuring me at home anyway. But I mean, I have gadgets for the gut, I have gadgets for my exercise, but I mean, nobody can solve the brain thing. So why the whole brain? If you can explain why it's critical to have
Yeah.
that one set of those 10 million data points, that's important. And it's not about gadgets. Come on, ladies and gentlemen,
Right.
you have to get that right. Go on. Come on.
So good question. So firstly, I must caution people against any do-it-yourself or gadgets, because A, none of these have the ability to capture data from your whole brain, right? The second part is they don't have the ability to calculate data from your little brain, which is the cerebellum, right? So for centuries, we've called it the little brain because medical science did not have enough insights into the data and the role of the cerebellum. So because of its small size and it's tucked in deep inside your skull, we just called it the little brain. But the cerebellum actually has 80% of the neurons of your brain. So on an average, we could say that there are probably about 100 billion neurons in your brain, 100 billion with a B. And 80% of that is in your cerebellum, in your little brain. None of these gadgets, none of these do-it-yourself devices, none of the stuff that you can do at home have the ability to calculate data from your cerebellum. So which means if you're not getting data from your whole brain, if you're not calculating from your cerebellum, and you're making a decision about your brain or about your mental abilities or your mood or your anxiety or your memory or tension, you are grossly miscalculating things, grossly, right? And why would you want to do that? Why would you want to play with your mental faculties like that,
Just give me an
right?
example quickly. Just give me a quick example because now people would want to know, okay, how does your company help me resolve my problems? These addictions that I have, maybe sleep deprivations, and people are addicted to substance these days because of the high pressure. So if you can
Sure.
talk about why that's important, right? Please.
Sure, sure. So first of all, let me clarify, there is absolutely no AI involved, right? Again,
I was about
because
to bring
AI,
that up later, but yeah, got it. Fine, please.
because there is, AI is such sort of the flavor of the season, and rightfully so, very talked about. I find a lot of people making ridiculous claims saying that, oh, our gadget uses AI for your brain, etc. And then they'll sort of remove it as well when there's a backlash. But let me clarify, we don't use any AI at all. We are all about actual human intelligence, nothing artificial, right? What we do is once we get your brain assessment, which is the first process I explained to you, and we are able to look at each of your subconscious brain patterns, it is not that we are measuring how you are in that moment, right? So it is not a superficial gadget based assessment to say, am I stressed right now or not? That's stupid. If you're stressed, you don't need a gadget to tell you you're stressed, right? You can feel the stress in some way or the other. And there are ways to deal with it. You can do yoga, pranayam, breathing, get sunlight, get energy, water, so many things, right? You don't need a gadget to meditate. You don't need a gadget to tell you you're in a bad mood. You don't need a gadget to tell you you're stressed. You don't need a gadget to tell you you're not paying attention. If you're not able to pay attention, you can make out you're not paying attention, right?
That's so
Simple,
true. That's so true. Kumar, that's common
right?
sense.
So
It's so true.
exactly. So please don't use gadgets to say, oh, I am inattentive, oh, I am stressed. You're worsening the situation because you are taking your mind and body connect further. You're getting it more disconnected. Now you need a gadget to tell you that you're not feeling good. That's ridiculous. So clarifying that. So what we are doing is we're trying to understand how your pattern works. Means even if you're feeling fine in that moment when we are doing the assessment, in general, what's your default go-to pattern? Means, somebody will respond to a high stress situation with an alarming degree of calmness, and somebody will respond to a very low degree of stress with a high amount of anxiety or panic or worry, maybe not in the moment, but it's a slow burn of anxiety. You asked for an example. Now, let me give you an example. You said about addiction, which is a great story. Vishal, you know people who are chain smokers, or even if they are not chain smokers, they are nowadays consuming vaping sticks, these vaping, tools,
Kumar,
right?
my profession, chain smokers, all of them, and also alcohol addicts. It is true.
Now, all of these people who are either vaping constantly or who are smoking or who are on alcohol or any other drug, like let's say weed or marijuana, whatever it is, the ones all of them are literate, all of them are educated, and all of
Absolutely. Very well educated, well read, Kumar. Seriously.
that. So they are rational. They know and they consciously, mindfully know that smoking is bad for them, alcohol is bad for them. Correct? It's not that they are uh, consciously unaware. Every cigarette pack has those ghastly images. You're seeing it on the screen everywhere. There are warnings everywhere. Correct? So, as far as the conscious mind is concerned, we know it's bad, or rather, the smoker knows it's bad. What is the problem then? The problem is the subconscious brain pattern, which, for a variety of reasons, has become addicted to that stimuli. The stimuli could be alcohol, the stimuli could be, hey, nicotine, it could be the vaping, it could be the flavor, it could be the experience, but you've got addicted to it. And there are a variety of reasons at the core. Either it just makes you feel better, so means it's a mood dysregulation, so the mood network is dysregulated, or it is your coping mechanism for anxiety and stress, so the anxiety network has been dysregulated, or simply it is neither of the two, and it's just something which you started doing as a fad and now you can't quit, right? Somebody in college or at work told you, hey, you look cool with that lovely cancer stick in your hand between your fingers, and then you sort of blow up the smoke and it looks really cool, and you've got this entire aura about yourself. So you started believing these things, and then you get rewarded more and more. The more you do it, the better you feel, right? But the brain is not feeling good between the gaps. So you do
Oh,
it at 8 a.m., it's not feeling good at 11 or 10 or 9, and it wants to do it again, right?
wow.
So there are
Wow.
certain individuals who are able to go cold turkey, who are able to just decide and say, I'm going to quit, it's not good for me, or who've had some sort of a life-changing moment. That moment could have been some sort of a trauma, some sort of an emotional shock,
Yeah, it's a reaction always. Yes, absolutely.
right? Which has shaken them out. Again, which means that your subconscious brainwave patterns were shaken into a realization that you have to quit. And they've been able to quit, right? Or they were just hugely inspired and motivated, which again, in that moment, changed their pattern and they were able to quit. But those are few and far between, right? Or even if they are able to quit, many of them just come back. When that motivation, dries down, they are, back onto the addiction. So for those who are not able to quit because the subconscious pattern is so strong, what do we do? We give them an opportunity to change that subconscious pattern without any effort. Because the moment they have to put effort means, again, you're relying on the conscious mind. And the consciousness, like I said, is just about 1% of who you are. 99%, and especially in the case of addiction, your subconscious is pretty much everything there, right? That's why you're addicted. So what do? Is we create a custom protocol for each client, whether it's addiction, anxiety, mood, attention, whatever it is, sleep. We create a custom protocol where you come for a series of sessions again to our center in Mumbai or Delhi. And during those sessions, again, you're seated in the same chair comfortably with all the sensors all over your head. But this time, your eyes are not closed like they were for the assessment. This time, your eyes are open and you're looking at a television screen, a regular television screen. All we will tell you is in the next half an hour, you don't need to meditate. You don't need to focus on your stress or anxiety. And you don't need to, play some ridiculous game or watch a ridiculous movie. Nothing. Just sit and get bored, right? You can get bored for half an hour. It's okay. And what's going to happen in that half an hour? We will be mapping your brain about 33 times in a second. Your entire brain 33 times in a second. Just to put it in perspective, when you blink your eyes, whether consciously or subconsciously, that's about 250 milliseconds. That's 1/4 of a second. So 4 times in a second is an eye blink. Imagine I am mapping your brain 33 times in a second, which is pretty much as close to real time, as close to understanding what is your subconscious doing before that brainwave becomes part of your conscious thinking, right? So we keep mapping it, and we created a protocol that if we see the data of a certain quality and quantum, then we will reward it. So we set a benchmark that, hey, if Vishal's brain, this specific pattern, the specific, customized protocol that I have sent, if it is at a certain level, please reward it. And the reward is you'll simply see something come up on the screen, which is a cue. You've been given a cue on that TV screen. It comes on, means you've been rewarded. It doesn't come on, means you've not been rewarded. So the question then would be, hey, but what am I doing to be rewarded, right? Well, you are not doing anything consciously, but your subconscious brain patterns are behaving the way they do. And on day one of this, training exercise, you can call it, on day one, we keep the benchmark really low because you're pretty much close to your base, right? Your baseline that we had got when we did your assessment. So on that day, the benchmark is very low. You're getting rewards easily. Within a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we realize that you've got a certain number of rewards. We will raise the bar and we will tell you that, hey, we are increasing the benchmark, increasing the difficulty. Now your brain has to perform even better. But you don't know what to do. You don't know what to perform better because you're not performing anything. But your brain is smart. Every human brain, the entire human species, is hardwired for progress. That's why we are where we are. So the moment we have told you that, hey, the difficulty is higher, and now if you want the same number of rewards, your brain has to perform better. Like magic, your brain starts performing better within the next 10 to 15 minutes of that session. So we will statistically see that your scores have dropped.
Okay.
And then again, it starts picking up because
Quickly.
your brain is recalibrating itself.
For the benefit of our audience, these are questions that you probe, right? These are not questions, these are pictures. What are these? Because nothing.
There is no question on the screen. There are no pictures. There is no game. There is no puzzle, nothing, right? Because if I was to give you a game to play and I would reward you on that basis, I'm improving your ability to play the goddamn game.
Absolutely. This is interesting, Kumar. This is really interesting.
Right? If I tell you to focus and reward you, then I'm improving that ability in that moment, right? And you don't need to come to me to do that. You can just sit and do open eye meditation.
Yeah.
Right? Just stare at a dot without blinking your eyes and keep time to yourself.
Absolutely. This is the difference. This is the difference. You have to tell them. Please, go on.
Exactly. So the point is, we are not forcing you or compelling you to take charge of your consciousness and be mindful and do something. Hey, that you can do for free, right? You can do that for free, and it works for some people, for some it doesn't work. So, after thousands of clients, I can tell you some of the top achievers as well, when they sit down to meditate, they actually go into a downward spiral because they are so deep in terms of the anxiety network, in terms
Happened
of
to
their
me.
mood network, in terms of OCD. They keep getting a barrage of negative thoughts and negative energy,
Same
and they
here.
actually land up with a panic attack sometimes.
I've
I
had
mean,
it. It's happened to me. It's
right.
true.
And so I'm not saying that you should not do it, but then you need an intervention to
Yeah.
first get your subconscious up to a certain level where it is not just going down that rabbit hole instantly every time it is devoid of any stimuli, right?
This is interesting.
So
Yeah.
that is part of the default network which we measure and manage, where because you're not getting external stimuli, your brain goes into the first thing: negativity, downward spiral, what if, doomsday, etc., etc., etc. Right? So we have to break that pattern. We have to
Yeah.
allow the brain to recalibrate itself, right? So just to complete my earlier
Please,
examples,
please.
we have we have given the brain rewards when it performs better, no rewards when it does not perform better.
So I'm
And
just
we
picturing myself. Sorry to interject. So I'm picturing myself, these sensors all over me. I'm just sitting there or lying there. Yeah,
sitting there.
and sitting there and just you say that, okay, start, no thinking, nothing, no questions asked, no pictures. I just sit quiet and it's
Yeah, just sit quietly with your eyes open, looking at a TV screen. That's it, right?
wow, just that's it. There's no program playing or anything, or no
No,
music
so
or anything.
the program is playing,
Okay,
but
what
the
is the
program is
what is the
not
program? What is that
to,
program?
yeah, the program is two parts of it. One is something that you cannot see, which is what
Hmm.
our technicians are managing, which is all the
Correct.
protocols that I have
Correct.
set,
Absolutely.
and the benchmark that we keep altering, we keep
Fantastic.
raising the benchmark, right? That's one part which you cannot see. And what you can see is just the rewards which go on and off on the screen on the basis of how your brain is functioning,
Interesting, man. This subconscious
right?
measurement. I mean, I must try
Again,
it out. Really,
again,
this
just clarifying that there is nothing on the TV which is stimulating you.
absolutely. That was my
There is
question.
no, yeah,
So there's
there
no
is no,
stimulation. There's no stimulation.
no, there is no game there. There is no game. There is no movie. And it is stupid to play a game with
I
your
got it.
time. It
That
is
I got.
stupid to
That I
watch a
got.
movie,
So there's
right?
nothing. You're just sitting there, no questions, nothing. You're just staring and just you're absolved within yourself. And that's when it's
Yeah,
processing.
the only thing that you need to be aware of is just be in that time and space. Like, you're sitting at my center in Mumbai. Please don't be, having your mind in lovely Bengaluru. I know it's 45 degrees in Mumbai and 20 degrees in Bangalore, but yeah, just don't do that. That's it, right?
Got
And
it.
even if you do, you'll keep coming back to the time and space, that room, and you'll realize what's going on. So that's the one part. The second thing is all you need to want more rewards,
Yes.
right? Which is the crux of the human species. We want progress, right? So the moment I tell you that, hey, I'm increasing the bar, increasing the benchmark or the difficulty, your subconscious brain says, okay, so how do I get the same number of rewards which I was getting at the lower difficulty? How do I get that same number of rewards? And that is what drives the brain to say, okay, I will move in the direction of getting more rewards. And we are programming it in such a way that you'll only get those rewards if the brain is producing better data, or
Great.
rather, that the network is producing better
Got
data.
it. Got it.
So, so
Got it.
nowhere in this process are we forcing you to do anything.
I got it. This
Nowhere
makes
in this
perfect
process
sense.
have I got magnetic waves or
I
minor
got that.
electric
That makes
life.
perfect sense now. You help celebrities, sports people. I think let's talk about these high profile people, right? Just a quick fix on what resolutions. I mean, the program size, days, months, what eventually happens What's the outcome? And I want to throw this in. A lot of people come for answers. You're not a crystal ball, and you made that very clear, right? So how do you fix this? How do you, I mean, talk about some of the clients. I mean, I know high net worth individuals, celebrities, sports people have come to you, and what were the outcomes?
Yeah. So, first of all, one of our biggest USPs is that we don't require you to tell us anything. There is no psychometric test involved. There is no paper pen Q&A or anything on a tablet where you need to spill your guts out to me. Hey, why should Vishal have to tell a stranger that he's got problems with his colleague and that's what keeps him stressed out and anxious, or that he's got problems with his boss, or that he's got $10 billion of debt, which he feels he's not able to service. Why should he tell a stranger that, right? Why, honestly? So when we do the assessment, everything about your network is objective data from your brain. So yes, I will know that you are easily getting anxious, that you have an issue with your mood, you have an issue with addiction, etc. But I will not know why you're anxious. Is it a personal, professional, financial problem? I don't know why, right? Uh, so that's one of our biggest USPs. That's why the who's who across the country trust us. That okay, the initial feel is that okay, I don't need to tell this person anything. That's one. Most importantly, we keep that confidence where we don't disclose client identities to anybody. So you mentioned celebrities, etc. We are very fortunate that a lot of them, just out of the goodness of the heart and to spread the word around that you can cure anxiety without meds, you can cure your sleep without sleeping pills, you can get off your antidepressant, you can quit smoking, you can quit drugs, you can have better attention without medicine. They've been through all of this and they want to share that message in some form with the rest of the world. And because of that goodness, they disclose that they are our clients. We never go out and tell anybody that so and so is our client. We never even say that a certain person has been coming to our clinic. I just wanted to clarify that because for somebody going through any of these issues, they need to have that sense of security that their issues are within themselves. They are most happy to share it with me. So almost 99% of them, because they become great friends and we develop a bond, they will end up sharing a lot of their personal issues with me. But that's different. They don't need to do that to be able to get better. So that's one. So as an outcome, what has happened is, let's say somebody came, let's say with alcoholism, right? So your addiction network is dysregulated, your mood network is dysregulated, your anxiety network is dysregulated, which means it's not working the way it's supposed to. We do a bunch of sessions. The sessions can be done every day. The sessions can be done on alternate days. Each session is about 30 to 40 minutes. And maybe after 15 or 20 sessions, depending on how severe your disorder is, depending on your age, depending on how long you've had it for, are you on other medicines, etc. So several factors, any comorbidities, any hormonal issues, several factors. Within 15 to 20 sessions, you start noticing major impact, right? And that stays over a period of time, right? So there are clients who've done 100 sessions because then they will say, okay, you sorted my addiction. Hey, now help me with my sleep. Hey, now help me with my attention. Help me with my decision making. Help me with my memory, etc., etc. So some of the key things that I would say we keep seeing clients for, and perhaps that increased a lot after COVID, is anxiety, depression, ADHD, or any kind of attention issue, and addiction. These four have become like the largest chunk. And then, of course, we have other things around just, decision making, procrastination, other cognitive abilities,
Okay.
social anxiety, or chronic pain. That's an important part. People don't realize that when you have anything chronic, right? So not if somebody's hand is broken, but if you've got a chronic ailment, which could be pain, could be headaches, could be diabetes, could be high cholesterol, could be hypertension, high blood pressure, or even thyroid. A lot of these are basically problems with the autonomous nervous system, right? Many times skin disorders, and you'll be told that it's psychosomatic, it's based on stress, right? So we cannot remove the stress from our life, but you can change your body and brain's ability to deal with that stress
So,
without
so
having repercussions on your physical
fantastic.
body.
You're almost reading my mind. You're saying that, okay, now I know these patterns and I have to make a conscious effort. Would you say a conscious effort or subconscious effort? How does
It's
that?
all subconscious. The
Okay,
conscious effort you're anyways making. You've
correct.
already tried, you've tried manifesting
Yeah,
and chanting and
yeah,
everything. You're doing all of that,
absolutely.
right?
A
And
lot of
that
my
can get you
friends,
perhaps to a certain point. So what we are doing is all the subconscious stuff.
yeah,
So we are doing all the heavy lifting for you.
okay. This is for all the middle-aged men and women who go through crisis, right? I mean, middle-age crisis, they call it. So they make conscious efforts to control their addictions. They do it for a year, fantastic. And then there's a trigger mechanism that just comes back very violently. And, they go back to it, to relapse. So there, what happens to such clients, viewers? I mean, what do they do? Do you remind
So
them?
we've had several such clients. So they've been to rehab in Switzerland or Austria or Florida. In India, they've been to all the ashrams in Bangalore and Coimbatore, and they've done it all, and it works for a certain amount of time, right? But for it to work permanently requires you to be doing that all the time, be in that environment all the time, because you've not learned how to deal with the real life around you, right? So in most places, let's say rehab, you are kept away from that substance, right? The moment you go back and see that substance in the normal life situation, which is a party or at work, etc., you want it again, right? Or you're constantly working on yourself. Hey, I won't. Hey, I won't. Hey, I won't. Right? And it's not fun. You don't want to live your life constantly thinking about the addict in you lurking somewhere, right? Why? Why do you want to live with that fear? So we have several clients who've been through this journey multiple times over. And once they come to Neuroleap, and we have literally helped them rewire that pathway, right? They are doing it themselves. The subconscious brain is doing it by itself. Like I explained, we are not forcing anything,
Got
right?
it. Got it.
As the great Mahatma Gandhi said, that change must come from within.
Yeah.
So we are
Yeah.
helping that change come from within.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's
So
interesting.
in our commercial practice, which is over 7 years now, we have clients who've quit smoking or alcohol or marijuana or the eating disorders 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they are absolutely fine, right?
Interesting.
Um, yes, people can falter. Nothing is 100% guaranteed and foolproof, nothing in life. Um, some of those times when this can happen is when a person either faces a physical jolt or trauma to the brain or the spinal cord, then obviously there's some rewiring happening, or there's a severe emotional or chemical shock. So COVID has rewired people's brains, right? COVID has actually shrunk the human brain, physically shrunk it. And that's why post-COVID, the incidence of anxiety, sleep issues, addiction, mood related issues has just,
Has
you
just gone
know,
up. It's gone
skyrocketed.
up. I was
And
reading a Canadian psychologist. I mean, this is a few months ago. I mean, it just happened that I knew you, and we're doing this podcast. He's called Gabor Mate, and he says, "Beware of hungry ghosts, or these ghosts inside of you." And and they're really not going away unless you address them quickly, right? It's very difficult for normal
so,
people.
so that's what we are doing. We're helping you address them at the core. We're going right to the core of the issues on why you have addiction, why you have anxiety, why you have a sleep issue. Is it childhood trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Some of these things you can talk your way through, right? But beyond a point, simply talking, simply discussing, simply working on yourself will not help anymore, right?
I'm
And
so glad you said it. A lot of people ask me to go to psychiatrists and psychologists. I don't do it because I know these are short-term fixes. These are not data. Sometimes these don't understand that 10 million data points, like you said. It's much more complex, right, Kumar? Right? That's where
no,
you come in.
I think talking to people is good, but I would suggest, hey, just um, talk to people who already know you well, who
Yeah,
know your background, who know your
got it.
history. So your
Got it.
mom, dad, your cousins, your siblings, your spouse, your children, your friends from school, college. Oh my God, you've got a list of people
Who
who
you
know
can
you
talk to.
better than anybody, right? First, try talking to them. Build that connection, right? That itself is healing. Building that connection is healing, right? When we say, hey, I really vibe with this person, what is that vibe? It's actually your brainwave energy, your bioelectrical energy connecting with that individual's brainwave and bioelectrical energy, right?
You're
So make
you're
use of that.
you're again reading my
It's
mind, man. Again, my next question was just that. The brain is energy and patterns, right, Kumar? Um,
exactly,
you want to
exactly like
talk
I said.
about that, please go into detail about how do you power it up. The healing process is so important for most of us.
Absolutely. So, when we think about enhancing people's brains, we think about the subconscious, and because it's pretty much everything. And within the subconscious, there are two parts, two ways to think about enhancing the brain. One is patterns, which is what Neuroleap does, and I've spoken extensively. The second part is energy. The brain consumes one third of your energy, one third. So even if you're just sitting and watching a movie throughout the day, the brain has consumed a third of your energy. Because even though you're not doing some, negotiation, or you're not learning anything, not mugging it up, you're just enjoying yourself, right? Just taking in data. The brain is constantly working, it's constantly firing neurons, billions of neurons are being fired, and activity is happening which is consuming energy. Now, there is a theory called the mitochondrial theory of aging, which basically is that the mitochondria in your body don't generate the required amount of energy. So, adenosine triphosphate, ATP, is the energy molecule, which is like your energy currency, right? Without ATP, without mitochondria, you cannot function. You cannot breathe, you cannot digest food, you cannot think, you cannot move without the energy generated, that's ATP, and without the energy factory, which is the mitochondria. So, the mitochondrial theory of aging is that you're not able to generate enough to cover up the depletion, and hence you age faster, right? The other part is a lot of our chronic disorders are actually because of mitochondrial dysfunction. Right? So, if you want to heal any chronic ailment, or if you want to heal even momentary inflammation or fatigue, the best thing is what? To power up your mitochondria, right? And how does the mitochondria get powered up? Three main ways. One, oxygen. So that's why we breathe. So, in a way, the main purpose of breathing is to give oxygen to the mitochondria. Two, eat food, because your mitochondria will need glucose to do its job, right? And third is light. The mitochondria absorbs specific wavelengths of light at specific frequencies to do its job better. one of the wavelengths, or the primary rather wavelength that it absorbs, is red and near infrared light. Now, infrared light or near infrared is invisible to the naked eye, right? The best time to get it is super early in the morning. That's the best time. So can you wake up at 4 a.m. and do that? Great. But even when you do that, with pollution, with, where you are, on what position you're getting that light, is it simply trying to go through your skull? Is it entering your brain through your nostrils, unfiltered? Several things. Now, mitochondria are present in different parts of your bodies in different concentrations. So let's say your skin, each skin cell will have just about 100 mitochondria, because your skin doesn't have to work too much. It doesn't have to generate too much energy for functions, right? But your liver is constantly doing something. It's working hard. So each cell in your liver has about 2000 mitochondria per cell. When you go to your heart, because your heart is doing way more work than your liver constantly, it needs more energy. So your heart has probably about 5000 mitochondria per cell, per heart cell. Now, your brain, because it's doing so much work all the time, as I said, 1/3 of your energy, your brain, each cell in your brain has 2 million mitochondria. And there are about 100 billion neurons, so 100 billion brain cells. So please, 100 billion raised to the power of 2 million, that is the number. Sorry, 100 billion into 2 million. That is the number of mitochondria your brain has. So if you want to heal in terms of antioxidants, anti-inflammation, better skin, better energy, lower fatigue, right? Better memory, better attention, better mood, lower anxiety, anything, just power up the mitochondria in your brain. Simple. It will generate more ATP, it will generate a lot of other good stuff, which will be transferred throughout your body for antioxidant benefits, for better skin, anti-aging, better sleep, right? Because it also improves your melatonin production. So a lot of benefits. So as our Vedic wisdom used to say that life is ultimately about energy or urja, I firmly believe in that as well as an applied neuroscientist. It's just that now I'm helping people with technology to bring you that energy in your pocket, which you can use, for your brain, for your nervous system, for your body.
Got it.
And the way we do it is, sorry,
Go on. Go on, Kumar, you were saying the way we do it is go on.
the way we do it is we've now, over our years of research, we have now come up with India's first therapeutic wearable device. So we have two devices. Both are registered with the government of India as Class A medical devices. So one is a cap and one is something which you wear in your nostrils. You can wear either one of them or both of them for about 15 to 30 minutes every day. The only thing they do is give you those specific wavelengths and frequency of red and near infrared light. These have been built over years of research and on globally available, proven clinical research. About 7,500 papers have been generated in the last 60 years of usage of red and near infrared light wavelengths and frequencies. There is zero side effects. And all these are proven benefits, what I have spoken about.
What's the
If you
company
do it
called
right-
again? What's the company called again? You have to name that company. It's a new company of yours.
Yes, it's called Arkni PhotoBioLife. ARKNI. Arkni PhotoBioLife. And it's already available commercially just on our website. You just buy it. It's a one-time purchase. There is no subscription ongoing. There is no ongoing cost. You don't need to download any app. We don't measure any data from you. We don't. Hey, you don't need to know your blood pressure all the time,
Yeah,
or
I
your
agree.
glucose or spikes. I mean, that's honestly that's BS
So
completely.
it's called PhotoBioLife. Go read that
Arkni
subject. Yeah,
PhotoBioLife.
that's the name of the
Arkni,
company. That's the name of the company,
yes,
Arkini. But they
yeah.
got to read about the light, right? I mean, they want to know if it's scientifically proved. Just the research is
It's called
available. It's all
photobiomodulation. The technology
yes.
is called photobiomodulation,
Go
which
read about
basically
it.
means, yeah, which basically means how you using light to modulate your biology. Light has been used as medicine for thousands of years.
Agreed.
In ancient times, in the Western world, it was called heliotherapy, using the power of the sun to heal you.
Yeah, in
And
Greece, this is in ancient Greece. It's true. They used it all the time.
exactly.
All into the Roman world as well. You're right. Well said.
And even in India, naturopathy and Ayurveda have used light and colored light. They used to use, colored water or colored bottles to charge, that light wave in a way,
Got it.
or modulate in a certain way to give you the benefits. Now, those are very cumbersome and not powerful enough. So photobiomodulation in its modern avatar is about 100 years old. And
Okay.
in the last 60 years has been a subject of a lot of research, a lot of clinical trials, peer-reviewed research papers. And some of the top global names,
Okay.
Massachusetts General Hospital, Harvard Medical School, NASA, etc., have both been using it, propagating it, researching it for their employees. NASA for astronauts. Of course, Massachusetts General offers it to patients, etc. The top sports stars in the world have been using it for years. In fact, there is a joke that in the future somebody will have to test for light doping, not just chemical doping.
Oh, because
That you will have taken so much of good
it's
photobiomodulation
gonna
that you've got
enhance
to
them.
make energy,
This is
right?
amazing. This is how you heal yourself. This is how you power yourself. Neuroleap, Arkini PhotoBioLite. I mean, Arkini available on the website, right? Is it the Arkini website or the Neuroleap website? Or are you going to combine the two?
Arkni website.
It's on the Arkini.
Arkni.
I'm going to put that in the description, guys. So, light is a form of, enhancement, and that's true. It's
Medicine.
ancient. It's medicine.
Light is medicine.
Medicine. It's ancient wisdom. I'm going to put all that in the description so you can go buy Arkini and read about it. Photobiomodulation. It's available on the internet. A lot of papers, right, Kumar?
Yes, of course. Like I said, if you just go to PubMed or Google Scholar, you'll find thousands and thousands of amazing clinical research, peer-reviewed, papers.
I wanted to ask you, you know so much about the mind. You got so many data points. One of the things I wanted to talk about, two things, right? Where does research around mind and wellness stand in India as of now? And you're the only one who's talking about this. I mean, it makes sense. It's ancient wisdom, and we're going to get into the technology. There is no AI, ladies and gentlemen. There is technology. We're going to talk about it in the next question. But I want to know, how do you really do research on this? I mean, where does research stand, and why can't you put out these massive reports? Why can't you do this on a regular basis?
Yeah, well, I should start doing that. I think we've just about started doing that, Vishal. We have unfortunately relegated our health and well-being to the medical system, right? The ancient forefathers had a certain way of life which was looking at preventive medicine before the term was coined. We slept at a certain time, woke up at a certain time, ate certain things, did not eat certain things, did not consume certain things, thought in a certain way, were encouraged to discuss our problems with family and friends, etc. Right? So the entire biopsychosocial model of health and care was taken care of without really needing an intervention, and by the time it was too late, right? Today, what are we being told? We are being told, hey, have boundaries with your own kith and kin.
Yeah, we are atomized.
Right.
We are atomizing ourselves to some industrial pharma-led business kind of thing, and we're taking these medicines, supplements. It's true, it's happening. Go on. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's
That's another subject we can rant about some other day.
it's not just it's not just pharma, it's us. We some young person on Instagram will create a lovely meme and is looking very cool, and will tell us that, hey, I have lived experience of anxiety, and if your parents or elders tell you that for your anxiety, please do yoga and meditation and pranayam, just tell them to get lost. Well, hey, you know what? Now even the West is professing it. There is research that when you do breath work, which is pranayam, when you do yoga, you will have a better response to stress and anxiety. You will have better mood. What is better mood? Lower depression, right? So we've actually gone away from all the good things which we had, which the West did not have, right? And because we started conforming to a certain global north in terms of what we will believe and not believe, unless it's a randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled trial, we will not believe it, right? And most of these people don't even know how to read that clinical trial report and make sense of it, yeah? And even if they do, well, hey, most of the medicines you're taking for anxiety or depression or ADHD were not meant to be given to you for years and years. If you actually want to get down to the actual science behind it, hey, there is no chemical imbalance in the brain which is leading to depression. There is no dopamine imbalance. There is no serotonin imbalance. These were myths which were created 70 years ago so that we could be sold these medicines for life. These have all been debunked in the last few years. But anyways,
Absolutely. Where does
what
research
you
stand?
need,
You should do this. You should go put out some stuff. But what's happening in research here?
right? So what do you actually need? Hey, just go back to the basics. Like you said, a lot of it is common sense, right? Any substance which is external to you and just makes you feel good because you consume it, you will become a slave to it. Addiction, right? It could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be smoking, it could be vaping, whatever. So the question to ask yourself is, do you want to be a slave to an external substance, whatever it is, right? If your common sense tells you yes, well, hey, then please go out and get more common sense. You don't need anything else, right? You need connection to be able to heal, to be able to be happy, to be able to be, leading a fulfilled life. Where is that connection? Family, friends, colleagues, classmates. Develop that connection, right? Don't, like you said, become atomized and then pay a stranger thousands of rupees per hour to talk about those things which you had built a boundary around. Why? I mean, hey, do it for free with your family and friends, right? They already know you. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Sometimes it's important to get a professional to give you a perspective, right? To change your perspective, right? And it's important then to go and speak to a wise person. Doesn't necessarily have to be a professional. It could be a mentor, could just be somebody way more experienced in the ways of life who's saying, hey, you know what? Fine, you messed up at work, but I've been doing this for 20 years. You will not remember it later. Don't worry. It's
Fantastic.
easy. It's okay.
So it
Right?
starts
You don't
there.
need
it starts
spend
there.
5,000,
Correct. It
right?
starts there, and then I come. I mean, sometimes you're right. It starts there, but then I have to come down to Neuroleap to really enhance myself, right? Would you say enhancement is the right word, or getting better?
Absolutely. Enhancement. Absolutely. Look, uh, we have no patients. We only have clients, right?
Well said. Well
Because
said.
almost half of the people who come to me have no disorders. They're just coming literally to enhance themselves. They want to be better, right? And the other half are actually people who have disorders because the agents of big pharma have told them that you have a disorder and they have labeled them. And
Hmm.
those are labels that they live by, right? And that's one of the most amazing things which we do when we do the Neuroleap brain function assessment is we help you get over that labeling. So Vishal, if you get a blood test done and you have high cholesterol, do
You
you
get
label
labeled.
yourself I have somebody with high cholesterol,
People do
right?
that. I wouldn't. I would go try to fix it. But people, wherever they go, say I have high cholesterol, and they get labeled, and that's depressing.
Exactly. But why should, just because you were going in through a certain phase in your life, maybe there's been a death of a near and dear one, maybe there's a job loss, for example, during COVID because of no fault of yours, right? Maybe there is some other life situation which you're not able to deal with, and you're feeling grief. It's a natural emotion. You're feeling lonely, which people felt during COVID because of the physical isolation. You're feeling stressed because of all these situations around you. Who gives an individual to put a label on you that, oh, you have an anxiety disorder, or
Yeah.
you have depression, or you are bipolar, or whatever it is? Hey,
Oh
these
yeah,
are
man.
life situations, right? You're responding to your environment. It's a
Kumar.
response to the environment. So there are two other parts to it. One is the social environment and what's happened with
Yeah.
you. The second is your psychology, which is your own perspectives, right? So some people are able to deal with that same situation differently, saying, hey, it's not my fault. I'm not going to beat myself that I lost my job because of COVID. I'm just going to, move on, right? And some are not able to, right? And
Kumar,
it's not their fault,
Kumar,
right?
I'm sure a lot of people would hate you for what you're saying. It's reality, it's the truth. But I'm sure you'll make a lot of enemies sometimes, right? I mean, we are talking, you're basically saying these are just, I mean, like I use the word, it's common sense. Talk to your network, people around you, and then enhance yourself. Get to know yourself better. Like you said the Vedic thought, Urja, right? You said find out within, right? And
Yeah.
that's what you're trying to do. And how
And
tough is it for you? I mean, a lot of people say, hey, what's he smoking, kind of thing. People will say such things. Did you ever get into that kind of situation? I'm sorry, I slightly digress, but I want to
sure.
talk about that. Please, what do you think about this?
I want to answer that, but before that, I'd say so I mentioned about the social context
Yeah, yeah.
comes to your mental health and your feelings. The second part I mentioned is your own psychological buildup, right? So your mindset, how you react to that situation. And the third one is your biology, right? So if you are, let me give you an example. If your brain networks, your patterns are already hardwired that you will see negativity in every situation, you will easily get stressed out and anxious and go to doomsday scenario, then you will continue to do that, right? And no amount of me telling you that, hey, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, no amount of you trying to be so-called mindful or conscious, you can do it over a period of time, but by and large, it won't really change you. And that's where
Absolutely.
Neuroleap is helping in trying to help you understand at the core why are you behaving like this, right? At the core, right?
That's the crux
Irrespective
of
of
it.
your situation.
That's
Let
the
me
crux of it.
to close that example. Let me tell you, Vishal. I know it's good weather in Bangalore, but if I don't give you water for one full day, no water, no liquids for one full day, and I tell you to go and run 20 kilometers and then stand out in the midday sun, will you feel dizzy or nauseous or just demotivated, low, all of that?
All of this,
Yeah.
yes. All of this, yes.
Confusion, not able to think, right?
Yeah.
Now, here, it's a stark example that you were running and you were dehydrated, etc. But many of us sitting in our air-conditioned offices, we don't even realize we are engrossed in our phone and meetings and work. We don't realize the mind-body connect has become so weak, you don't realize that you're thirsty till you're very, very thirsty. And it is that dehydration which is making you think or not think or not react in a particular way. And that is a simple example of how your biology is playing a role in your mental process in that moment. And if that
Fantastic.
process keeps happening every day, that's who you become over a period of time, or that's who you assume you become, right? So, sleep, diet, exercise, hydration, vitamins, minerals, everything, all of this play a huge role, right? In in your biological makeup, and also, of course, like what I said, is understanding your patterns. So having said that, to your question about, have I been called, some of those things? Well, you know, before I went commercial in 2017, I had a long period when I was being trained on the technology, developing parts of the software, being trained on the hardware, etc. And we continue to invest heavily in our software and in our databases, in our algorithms, all of it, all the time. So every several weeks, we have major upgrade using all our knowledge and all the data. People have, told me that, oh, so do you believe that there is no place for psychiatric medicine? And so I said, well, there is place for every medicine as long as it can give you a solution. If Vishal has a bad back, right? Will he expect himself to be on a painkiller for 20 years? Because every time he tries to get off the painkiller, the back pain comes back, right? Or will he expect to be on that painkiller for, 2 weeks or 4 weeks and then switch it off and then say, okay, now I will, bear the leftover pain a little bit and start doing my exercise to make that part of the body stronger and more resilient so that I don't have to rely on these crutches, because soon I will start becoming dependent, and the same amount of the drug will not help me. I'll have to keep increasing the dosage. Does any of this sound familiar with psychiatric drugs?
No, I mean, really, man, I haven't been to one, so I wouldn't know, really. I wouldn't go also. A lot of people have recommended, but I wouldn't go.
No, you should. Look, they have their role to play. When somebody is going through extreme trauma, emotional trauma, extreme grief, where they're just not able to make sense of life and the loss they've had, right? In an acute situation, you sometimes need to give a drug to somebody. Now, that drug could be alcohol, it could be weed or marijuana, it could be legalized, uh, you know,
Doses, legalized doses. Got it.
legalized doses, or it could be, I was actually going to say legalized addiction, which is psychiatric meds at a certain point, where you can just say that, okay, I'm going to give you this, it's a tranquilizer, it'll calm you down, etc., etc. So I can understand if it is being given at an acute point in time for a very short span of time, because those were also the short span of times which they were meant to be given and certified and clinically proven to be given for. There is no psychiatric medicine on this planet which has been researched to be given to a patient for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. None, no molecule. Then why are they being prescribed for that long? So they were meant that if it's an acute situation, nothing is helping you, take this, just get back into a certain zone, and then you really need to get off them because you'll get dependent. not only will you get dependent, now there's enough research all over the world and some of the top journals that they're actually harming you. All of these, they are mind-altering drugs. They actually harm you. You're numbed.
I've
You
had people who've taken depressants for the last 20 years, my friends, are now dependent on it. And they can't get off it. And it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. So we help people get off those meds and get their symptoms sorted. So we've had people who've been on psychiatric medication for decades, many decades, or even a few years, or just 1 year, or 6 months, or 2 years, and find it difficult. So they face withdrawal symptoms because your nervous system and your brain have gotten used to it, but it is still not feeling better, right? So it's like the painkiller which you kept on taking because you weren't able to bear the pain, but your body didn't heal even while you were taking it. So there's no healing that's happened, but the crutches remain. So the crutches keep weakening you, right? And you have to keep higher dosage. So anyways, so we've helped those people get off the meds and get rid of their symptoms as well, right?
This is
And
great, man.
it's all through the Neuroleap process and with a
Yeah.
little bit of help from Arkni as well, right?
Great. So a computer interface, I know there's so much data. I know you don't use AI on the individual, but on the data points collected later on, which goes into obviously your cloud or your CRM or some sort of, I mean, I shouldn't say CRM, CRM is wrong, but it's going into it's going into your, data storage. And how do you use AI there? Can you use AI there? Because there's so much data to crunch. Or is it just machine learning algorithms, normal algorithms that you're using?
Yeah, there is no machine learning on AI we are using. We are very mindful of the fact that AI can develop a bias,
Okay, got
right?
it. Got it.
And we don't want to let a bias creep in to our assessment of any client,
Absolutely. Got it. Yeah. So it's
right?
personalized.
So
It's
at the
personalized
assessment,
and got it. It cannot be standardized because you're personalized and you should be very
yes,
careful. Got it. I
it
understand
is
that.
customized to each client. That's one. Two, so again, this is taking me back to your earlier question about these gadgets at home, where you just connect it to your mobile app. Your brain is connected to the mobile app in a way, etc. Oh my God, that's ghastly because there is no professional there who's actually seeing the brainwave data. So at
Nobody.
our clinics at Neuroleap, every client's data is seen by a neuroelectrophysiologist, people who are trained in hospitals over years to see brainwave data. They are trained, they are qualified, and they actually see that data. That's one. Two, each client, I personally, as the applied neuroscientist, I see each client's data and personally customize the protocols, the sessions for each client.
Got it.
So it is
Got it.
important that there is proper oversight, because you cannot be fooling around with your brain.
Yeah.
Just because it's convenient to put some contraption on your head and just connect it to a mobile
Yeah.
phone or whatever.
You want to tell me quickly, your team, you've done all you can in the last 8 years now. What is it? What's the knowledge level of your team? Do you have people similar to you? Because now you got to focus on business, because that was my question, right? You want to focus on taking this global for India for the world kind of thing. I know a lot of the interventions you take care, you want to be there and make sure that this happens. You've done that role as a startup founder. How how easy or difficult is it for you to have team members who are exactly like you? And is that where technology plays a role, Kumar, for you? Or would you say that, look, I want to grow small, I want to add value, and this is how I'm going to build it. And I'm going to build it with a small
So,
team.
we have actually split my role. Um, my teams in Bombay and Delhi are completely trained and equipped to implement the assessment, implement the enhancement sessions, right? We have then separate teams, which, like I said, are neuroelectrophysiologists who are trained to read data. So that is one area. And then certain areas which I'm involved in, which is actually making sense of that data and actually creating a protocol. Those are two very crucial things which unfortunately are not replicable right now, because it takes a lot of
Got it.
understanding and experience and constant research and upgradation on my part, right? So I don't see that changing anytime soon. But even with the other two parts, other two functions which have been split, like I said, we are able to, help thousands of people with their assessments, with their enhancement sessions. They don't require me to be there personally, physically, during the session, right? So I have clients who are from all over India and who will come to Bombay or Delhi, do their assessment. I'm not even in the clinic, The team does the recording of the brain waves, all of the data is generated. I get to a point where I see it, understand, have the assessment conversation with them in terms of seeing, well, this is what I'm seeing, these are your issues, these are the things you should do. And if they choose to do the enhancement therapy later, then I get involved in the personalized and customized sort of protocol setting and monitoring, right? But I don't need to be there physically in the room to do any session. So we've got that, sorted to a large extent. In terms of scaling up, Vishal, I think the real scale and the real ease is coming from Arkni PhotoBioLife, from that brand, because that's a true wearable. Um, it is
Yeah.
truly a therapeutic wearable.
Yeah.
It doesn't capture any data. It it is and it's amazingly a wearable that you don't need to have on you all the time. You don't need to sleep with it. You don't need to bathe with it, swim with it, run with it. No, you just wear it for 15 to 30 minutes every day. That's about it. From the comfort of your home, office, car, wherever you are, and that's it. And I think that is really a made in India product for the
You're
world.
you're you're democratizing. You're democratizing brain enhancement in a way through this through Arkini, right?
Yes, and not just brain enhancement, your wellness and health and
Wellness,
healing
absolutely. So it begins. So would
for
you
your
say
entire body.
so would you say I can start with an Arkini, to
Yes,
heal, and then to enhance further, I come to Neuraleap.
exactly,
So
exactly. You can do that.
let me put it this way. I'm a 22-year-old sportsman, high pressure. Say I'm a weightlifter, 22-year-old. I need to heal myself in terms of inflammation, better sleep. I can start with Arkini. And then I want to
Yes,
enhance myself further because now I'm going to Olympic level stuff and I need to focus, focus, focus. So I come to Neuroleap. Is that how would you say that's the best example I've given?
yes, that's a great example. Let me even, in your words, democratize it even further, make it simpler. So you're pretty much someone at any age, right? Who
Beautifully
may or
said.
may not be in a competitive sport or a competitive job or profession. You could be a homemaker, or you could be a student, or you could be a podcaster, anyone. And you could say, hey, can I do anything better if I have more energy? Right? And the answer is yes and yes. Can I heal better? Yes and yes. Right? Can I get better sleep? Can I improve my digestion? Right?
Yeah.
Do I want better skin? Right? Uh, do I want anti-aging? Anything. You don't have to be in a competitive sport or whatever. And you can order one of our Arkani devices, the cap or the nasal one. You will start seeing benefits in a few days, sometimes in a few weeks. Just keep using it. It's like part of your lifestyle now. If you want to then take also the next step, which is saying, okay, can I enhance my brain patterns? Or if I already have a problem, then you can come to Neuroleap. But it doesn't have to be one before the other. It could be at the same time. You
Yeah.
could come to Neuroleap first, whatever it is.
Fantastic. This has been one of the best conversations I've had because I've been waiting for somebody to do this in India. I've been reading I've been reading books of psychologists, primal scream therapies. I've been reading psychiatrists who talk about addictions of heroin, cocaine, marijuana, whatnot. And why does it impact bands, musicians, creative people. I've been doing all that, but the answers are within you. It begins there. The answers are part of your network, your friends, your family. It's if that doesn't go anywhere, then you can get to Arkni. And if Arkni, and from Arkni you want more, you can get to Neuroleap, or you start with Neuroleap and go to Arkni as well. That's fine, guys. So, but this has been a fascinating program, really, for me. And we should do more of these, because this cannot be done in 1.5 hours, Kumar. This has, I mean, these are things I could pick up on patterns, brain patterns, and stuff, and do another 1 hour, 2 hour session. Unfortunately, we have to end it. Like all things end, I must ask you, how do you get inspired? What inspires you? How do you manage your mental wellness? Some books, inspirations. It can be movies, it can be sports, it can be anything. But I'd love to spend the last section on you, please.
So, I don't like talking about myself, but
I've
yeah,
seen that. You only talk about Neuroleap and now Arkini, of course. Nobody knows you. Come on, you got to tell us a little bit.
Look, I'm not somebody who's really worth knowing as such. I mean, I'm happy to just help in whatever way I can. But since you're asking about what I do, in terms of my lifestyle or wellness, so I'm a teetotaler. I've never tasted alcohol, never smoked in my life. I'm a vegetarian. No, I'm not a vegan. I consume copious amounts of ghee. It's really good for the brain and the gut. So I'm a vegetarian. I rarely go out in the evenings. I don't party. Probably haven't done that in decades. I sleep by 10:30 at night. I don't remember the last time I went to a movie hall, maybe a few years ago. I'm very boring.
It's
I
interesting. It's
I wake
interesting the way you
up.
are.
I
Because
wake up early. It's a regular working day, pretty much 6 days a week. The seventh day, Sunday, I tend to again get engrossed in reading a lot of research
yeah,
papers
yeah.
I might have not read over
That's
the.
that's not boring, is it? That's the way you are, and that's what you got to be. Somebody just told me. I just put a post on Facebook saying I must be miserable because I don't share my kids' photos on Facebook because I don't want to. And somebody said, "You're not miserable. You're doing the right thing. Be who you are, and you're being you. It's fine. Go on."
So I tend to do a lot of research reading every single day, and whatever gets left out during the week is on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
I practice yoga,
Okay.
pranayam, a little bit of resistance, weight training. No, I don't run any marathons. I'm not climbing any mountains. I mean, the number of people who come to me and say, "Oh, if you don't run the marathon, how will you? Then what about resilience and all?" I'm like, "Listen, dude, we were not built to do that. There's no need to do that,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
torture yourself
Got
and
it.
then wonder why people in their 30s or 40s are getting strokes and are falling dead
Oh my.
one fine day. The answer is there. So, anyways,
It's well said. Well said. What are you reading? I know you do scientific journals on brain studies. Technology maybe, but what are
not
you reading?
just
For normal
not
people,
just
for normal
yeah.
people,
So not
literature.
just brain studies, not just brain studies. I mean, do a lot of reading around epigenetics,
Ah,
around energy, around brain, neural pathways, genetic theory. Um, I also masquerade in some ways as somebody who does a lot of speaking, to smaller groups,
I've
closed
seen
door
that.
around a neuro behavior and neuroeconomics, right?
Wow,
At
that's
an
interesting.
individual
That's a
level
sub
on how
neural.
people use neuroscience to think about their decision making, how people can use neuroscience to think about their own decisions. So neuroeconomics, neurobehavior, I do a lot of that work. So yeah,
What?
that's so a lot of
So
my reading is pretty much just anything
these
that can
things.
help me deliver better on those.
Okay,
It's not necessarily books on these
got it.
subjects. could be pretty much just about anything. Yeah.
No, and these are what, high-level authors, scientific journals, people in the
Yeah,
community.
most of it tends to be research based.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it tends to be research based. I also delve a lot into connecting neuroscience and modern technology with Vedic wisdom, with what's called Indian knowledge systems,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think the way forward is if we can marry good technology with some of these Vedic wisdom that we had since thousands of years, but we just threw it away. And now I think the time has come to bring it all together. So a lot of my time goes in sort of researching that, thinking about it,
Yeah.
drawing the connects, the parallels, doing own research around it. So we use a lot of our Neuroleap tech to understand why certain ways of thinking, certain patterns, certain mindsets, etc., actually helped us in certain ways, and what is the neuroscientific significance of them.
No,
So
it's amazing. Kumar, I'll tell you what, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've known each other for a couple of years, or 6 years now, actually. We met at your story, didn't we? When I was working
yes,
there. So that's
yes,
the fantastic part is for me at the Upstream Life, I've always wanted to explore my subconscious self. Like you said, 99% of that is more powerful than my 1% conscious self. I've always wanted to talk to people about this, and I'm glad somebody's already helping people doing this, right? And really wish you all the best. Uh,
thank you.
but we got to do more of this because this shouldn't stop at one. I'll chat with you. We'll try to host you in the studio next time. Guys, I'm going to put in his companies in the description. Arkni is one, and Neuroleap. Uh, I'm going to put that into chapters so you enjoy each subject. And if you're going through anything where you want to enhance your brain, you're going through addiction, well, this is the podcast for you. I'm going to also put this on Instagram in pieces so that you get to understand what Kumar stands for. Kumar, all the best to you. And I really wish, like, you should take up on what Mohandas Pai said. You should write a book some point of time. You should do a lot more for India. Great talking to you, man. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. It's been a pleasure. And in closing, I'd just say that no, it's not like Neuroleap and Arkni are the only solutions. Most of the solutions are available at you at home, at
Thank
work.
you.
If those don't work, by all means, go and see a professional. The only condition you should have is that this is an exercise in healing and not in a lifelong crutch. That's all.
No, no, very well said. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kumar.
Thank you.